In the heart of the desolate forest, where the moon's light barely penetrated the thick canopy, there stood an ancient mansion. Once a grand estate, it now lay in ruin, overrun by decades of neglect. The townsfolk whispered of the spirits that lingered there, souls who had met tragic ends within its walls. Among them was a tale more terrifying than the rest, that of the Reaper's Call. Elena was a curious soul, drawn to the mansion like a moth to a flame. Ignoring the warnings and tales, she ventured deep into the forest, determined to uncover the truth. As she approached the mansion, a chill ran down her spine, the air growing colder with each step. The entrance loomed before her, its large wooden doors cracked and decayed. Pushing them open, she was greeted by an eerie silence that seemed to swallow the sound of her footsteps. Inside, the grand hall was a shadow of its former self. Cobwebs hung from the chandeliers, and the once polished marble floor was now cracked and covered in dust. Every creak of the old wood seemed amplified, echoing through the empty rooms. Elena's lantern cast long shadows that danced on the walls, distorting the faded portraits that watched her progress. She made her way through the corridors, the tales she had heard playing in her mind. They spoke of a reaper-like figure, a dark entity that summoned lost souls with its mournful wail. Skeptical but intrigued, she pressed on. Reaching the main staircase, she paused, noticing a figure at the top. Almost ethereal, it seemed to beckon her closer. Heart pounding, Elena ascended, drawn by an inexplicable force. As she reached the landing, the figure vanished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of dread. The wail began, low and distant, growing louder, more despairing. Elena felt a presence behind her, cold breath on her neck. She turned, lantern shaking in her hand, to see nothing but darkness. But she knew she was not alone. The Reaper's call had been answered. Before her eyes, the shadows coalesced into a form, a hooded figure wielding a scythe that gleamed in the faint light. Its eyes were empty voids, yet they seemed to pierce into her soul. Frozen in terror, Elena could barely move as the figure raised its scythe. A whisper filled the air, words she could not understand, yet their meaning was clear: it was her time. With a swift motion, the Reaper struck. Elena's scream echoed through the mansion, joining the chorus of lost souls. The next morning, the townsfolk found her at the edge of the forest, lifeless, her eyes wide with terror. The mansion stood silent once more, awaiting its next curious visitor, ever ready to heed the Reaper's call.